A man has been charged with second-degree murder after he allegedly shot and killed a 20-year-old woman as the car that she was in mistakenly drove up the man's driveway. Kaylin Gillis was with 3 other people in New York State on Saturday. They accidentally drove into the driveway of Kevin Monahan in the town of Hebron, New York State. As the driver was leaving, Mr. Monahan, 65 years of age, allegedly opened fire on the vehicle, hitting and killing Kaylin Gillis. So I'm just going to recap that. So essentially, a group of 4 people were in a car driving around a town called Hebron in New York State. We're not told where they were headed, but they were just driving around, heading somewhere to somebody's house, and they drove into the wrong driveway. They just made a mistake. The area in Hebron is rural. The driveways are poorly lit at night. 4 people in the car. None of them got out of the car. None of them were shouting or being disrespectful or disruptive, as far as we're told. And they were even attempting to leave. So I'm getting the impression that they were literally in the process of reversing out of the driveway or something similar to that. They were in the process of leaving. At which point the homeowner shot at the vehicle. We're not told how many shots, but we do know that one of the bullets struck Kaylin Gillis and she subsequently died. So the driver and the other people in the vehicle drove away from the house. They attempted to call help, but tragically, by the time paramedics arrived to the scene, Kaylin had passed. So again, we don't know the full details. I've gone through one article and it was fairly short. I've condensed it a little further. It's quite possible that there's information that we're not being told, but from what we are being told, all 4 people remained in the vehicle, not causing any issues at all, not posing a threat to the homeowner at all. Yet, allegedly, the homeowner, Kevin Monahan, exited his house with a firearm and shot at the car. We're told that the alleged shooter, Mr. Monahan, is uncooperative with the investigation. He's refusing to speak with police, or he was initially. We're told that he has been charged with second-degree murder. We're not informed of any bond, but I presume that he's been detained. Why would you want this psychopath walking the streets? I need to let you know that there is a GoFundMe for Kaylin Gillis's family to cover funeral and other expenses, and of course full condolences to the family, friends, colleagues, co-workers, schoolmates of Kaylin Gillis. We're not provided with really any details at all in regards to Kaylin, and perhaps that will remain the case. Perhaps the family want to keep things particularly private, but as far as we understand, Kaylin Gillis was a 100% innocent, minding her own business in a car with some friends, driving somewhere to somebody's house. They just ended up in the wrong driveway. That's all. These things happen. It's in a rural town, poorly lit. It seems like something that would happen relatively often, and it seems like the reaction from the homeowner is completely bizarre. So I'm going to draw some parallels to the Ralph Yarl case, which happened just a few days prior to the Kaylin Gillis shooting. So with Ralph Yarl, the shooter, Alexander Lester, do I have his name right? I think it's Alexander Lester, the 84-year-old homeowner, Andrew Lester. He's been charged with 2 felonies. He's facing a life sentence, I believe, if he's found guilty. He shot at close range, I believe, the victim, Ralph Yarl, twice, once in the head, once in the arm. And with that, there's been huge outrage worldwide, certainly across America. The shooter, Andrew Lester, the shooter of Ralph Yarl, has been declared to be a white supremacist. So in the Kaylin Gillis situation, both Kaylin and the shooter are both white. We're not told about the race of the other people in the vehicle, but I would think that the Kaylin Gillis shooting, and I say this from the point of view that I don't have all of the information, perhaps further information will come to light, perhaps security camera footage will come to light in both cases, but my opinion of the Kaylin Gillis situation is that this was a white homeowner overreacting to what I presume they perceive to be a threat to their home and perhaps to their own welfare. It seems like a massive overreaction and a tragic overreaction, but with the Kaylin Gillis situation, we cannot argue that it's a hate crime. Seemingly it was a white on white shooting. So going back to the Ralph Yarl, Andrew Lester situation, why has the world declared that to be a hate crime just because the victim happens to be black? The Kaylin Gillis situation shows that there are situations where similar shootings occur from the homeowner, perhaps unduly feeling threatened, shooting at what they perceive to be the perpetrator or the perpetrators, ending somebody's life. Thankfully that didn't happen in Ralph Yarl's situation, but it doesn't have to necessarily be about race. I think I've rambled too much. I don't think I've articulated myself very well, and I think you're probably pretty bored of listening to me at this point. So I'm going to wrap things up again, and of course, full condolences to the family, friends, colleagues, schoolmates of Kaylin Gillis, fellow passengers. It does boggle my mind as to why the homeowner, Kevin Monahan, would have shot at the vehicle. I do question to some extent whether or not we're being told the full story. I mean, I would assume that we're not being told the full story, so the question is, how much have we not been told that could go to explain or justify the homeowner's reaction? Maybe there is evidence that will come to light that will change our minds. Okay, perhaps the homeowner was justified in shooting at the vehicle. I think that's a possibility. I'm not saying that I think that that will happen, I just think it's a possibility. And very much so with the Ralph Yarl case, I think that's a possibility too. With the Ralph Yarl case, Andrew Lester has signage on his property saying that there are security cameras, but I don't think it's been confirmed at this point whether or not there is footage of the incident. And certainly if there is footage, it hasn't been released to the public. But I would guess that there is footage, and I would guess that that would show categorically who's to blame and whether or not there was any justification for Andrew Lester to having shot Ralph Yarl. Anyhow, I'm going in circles, so I'm going to wrap things up. If you've listened all the way, you're an absolute star. Thank you.